Okay. Afternoon, guys. Guys, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Amazing. So, in the room with me now, there are about 11 students. I have Yasin, Tadrus, Ruhaim, Abdurrahman Walid, Kiara, Maryam, Naqib, Baghdadi, Haya, Ali Gizi, Yusuf Awad, Yahya Awad, Yusuf Awad, Yahya Awad. Okay, so you're 12 now. I'll just share the screen. Did you do well in the quiz? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Guys, did you do well in the quiz? Abdurrahman Walid, can you hear me? Abdurrahman Walid. Abdurrahman Walid. Can you hear me? Yahya Awad, can you hear me? Are you there? Please, guys, I told you before to solve the problem with your mics, please. Because if you don't participate in the session, you attend, but you don't participate. Once you don't participate, you are not given any of the marks for participation. There are 10 marks for participation. I'm sorry to say that again and again. In the room now, I have Kiara, Janna Gouda, Hassan Ruhaim, Haya, Maryam Naqib, Yasin, Yusuf Awad, Abdurrahman Walid, and Yahya Awad. Where is Ali Gizi? Where did he go? I'm not sure. Where is Tadrus? Guys, can you hear me? Hello? Kiara, can you hear me?
Yes, mister.
So what's wrong with the other guys? Tadrus, what's wrong with your connection? Janna Goda, can you hear me? Janna?
Yes, mister.
Okay, so what's wrong with the other guys? Hi.
Mr. Tadrus is the list. He's not in the room.
What?
Tadrus is not in the meeting.
Oh, he was in the meeting. He left and he asked to join again. I admitted him. He's still joining. Maybe there is something wrong with his connection. What about Gizi? I'm not sure. Gizi left, joined, and left. Okay. Walid, if you can hear me, put your hand up, please. Abdurrahman Walid, because you never participate in the sessions. Hala Sharif, Abdurrahman Walid. Abdurrahman and Alia never participate in the session. Some other guys, I remember them, I write their names down. But be careful, please. I'll start, guys. I wasted about 5 minutes. So I wrote the names of the people who are with us now, and I write their names again at the end of the session. I'm trying to share the screen. I'm not sure what's wrong. Let me share. So can you see the screen now, Kiara?
Yes.
Okay. Last time we stopped here. We were doing short stories, how to write a short story. We talked about pre-writing and then drafting and then editing with your friends. Here, this is the next step, editing and proofreading. You know, before if you were a writer and you want to publish your short story in a newspaper or a magazine or a book, you need to proofread it before you publish it. Once you have finalized your draft, reviewed it for errors, review it for errors in spelling, punctuation, and grammar. Because you know, in writing, if your grammar is not good, if your punctuation is not good, if your spelling is not good, this means you are a bad writer. And if you are doing an assignment, you will lose marks for this. Mechanical mistakes like these pull attention away from the story. They distract the reader. The reader doesn't understand what you mean sometimes because of your bad grammar, bad punctuation, or bad spelling. And you have, try to make your final draft error-free, free of any error, focusing on punctuation. Be sure you have used punctuation correctly. The end marks, full stops, question marks, exclamation marks. Check that each sentence has an end mark, such as a period, an exclamation point or mark, or a question mark. The commas are used to prevent misreading. They can set up relationships among parts of a sentence and make long sentences easier to read. Commas are also critical to punctuating dialogue correctly. Be sure you have not included commas too generously or too sparingly. Grammar in your writing, punctuating dialogue correctly. Punctuate dialogue. I want you to read this yourself. Half a minute, read it, please. This stuff, you know it from grade 4 or 3. Especially if you're writing a dialogue between the characters in your story, you should use this or these punctuation rules. Okay, so bear in mind these rules, guys, when you write a dialogue between your characters, and follow these rules. Let's move to the next step, publishing and presenting. So you have proofread your short story and you're sure that grammatically, spelling-wise, vocab-wise, everything is okay. And it's the last step now, publish and present your short story. Okay, reflect on your writing. Once you have finished your story, use these questions. You have a guideline here to reflect on the process. Add your response to your portfolio. What did you learn about the techniques of professional fiction writers? Which strategy worked best for you? How did it help you to improve your writing? Okay, I'll give you 2 minutes to have a look at this. This is the criteria you should follow when you write, or the rubric or self-assessment when you write your own short story. So you should bear in mind your audience and your purpose. Again, if you're writing for children, 8 years old, for example, you should use a different language than the one you use when you're writing for adults, as we said earlier. The organization, you can get the full mark if you present a clear sequence of events in a logical order, or this is what we call, can you give me one word for this, guys? Can you give me one word for this? Criterion. If you present a clear sequence of events in a logical order, what do you call? Put your hands up, please, if you want to answer. What do you call the logical sequence of ideas in a short story, in a novel, in a play, in any work of art? Waiting for your answers. Put your hands up, please. Again, what do you call the logical sequence of events or ideas in any work of art? I have Mariam and Naqib only. What about the others? Put your hand up, please. There are 10 marks for participation. I told you many times before. Guys, are you there? The question again. What do you call, or give me one word for the logical order of the events or the incidents in any work of art, short story, a novel, a play. Mariam only? Okay, Mariam, go ahead.
Chronological order.
Okay, but I need one word for this. Yes, it's chronological order. Good. What do you call this? The order of the events in the story or in the novel. This is what we call the. Any other answer, guys?
The
Yes,
plot.
the plot. Thank you very much. It's the plot. Thank you, Mary. Okay. Kiara wants to say something. Somebody in the chat.
No.
From Ms. Reda. Okay. Dear students. Okay, thank you, Ms. Reda. So, when you're writing, again, bear in mind some criterion, some rules. You should bear in mind your audience and purpose. Why are you writing and for whom are you writing? If you present an unusual perspective on a conflict, you deserve 4 out of 4. If you present a series of events leading to a clear conflict, you deserve 3. If you present little conflict or narrative, you deserve just 2. If your story or novel or film or whatever contains no conflict or no narrative, so you deserve just 1 or almost nothing. As for the organization, as we said, you should follow, as Mariam said, the chronological order or the time order of the events. The order of the events should be clear and logical. If you present a clear sequence of events in a logical order, this is 4 marks. You deserve 4 marks here. If you present a clear sequence of events with some consistencies in organization, some flaws, some mistakes, some faults in organization, it's okay, you'll get 3. If you present a weak or unclear connection between ideas or events, this means 2. If you present no connection at all, this means nothing. Okay, as for elaboration, elaboration in other words means explanation or saying more about you. You state an idea and you elaborate on it, or you state a conflict or a situation and you need to explain it or elaborate on it. If you provide rich details and or illuminating illustrations, clear explanations, easy to understand ones, incorporates apt, striking word choice. Your word choice, as we mentioned earlier, should be clear and good, makes effective use of dialogue. Okay, you deserve 4. If you provide many details, but some vague words, includes good use of dialogue and so on. If you provide some details through limited word choice, again and again, you should be rich with words. You should use your words. Don't keep repeating yourself. Even if you're doing writing in IELTS and you're writing an essay, you're writing a short story, you're writing whatever, any piece of writing and any piece of speaking. If you're doing a speaking quiz, you shouldn't repeat yourself. You shouldn't use the same words again and again. For example, if you want to talk about a job satisfaction, you don't need to repeat the word job again and again. You can use the word work, you can use the word occupation, you can use the word post, you can use any other synonym, okay? For example, satisfaction, you can use the word pleasure or well-being or any other word that gives almost the same meaning of this word. Again, you should use a variety of vocabulary. Provides, if you provide no details or include limited dialogue, this means a bad mark. Use of language. If you demonstrate overall clarity and fluency, this means the reader will understand you smoothly without any effort. If you present very few errors in spelling, capitalization, very few, okay? يعني 1 or 2 errors in the whole story, punctuation and or usage. Usage here means grammar, okay? Demonstrates good sentence variety, complex sentences, simple sentences, compound sentences, compound complex sentences. If you present some errors in spelling, capitalization, some. Here, very few. Here, some. 3, 4, 5 errors. Okay, you deserve 3. And if you use awkward or weak, overly simple sentence structures, yani, imagine that a student in grade 11 writes a paragraph or an essay about a visit to the zoo. And again, our grade 11 student writes it this way. Last Friday, we went to the zoo. A simple sentence. We went by bus, full stop, or a period. We were some guys from school. Simple sentence. We arrived at 9. We saw the animals. We played with the monkey. We fed the giraffe, and we went back home, and so on. Such simple sentences don't suit your level. You should use, again, you are grade 11 student, you are advanced student now. Your level should be C1. I told you about these levels before. You should use a variety of sentences. Simple sentences are important, but not all the time. Compound complex sentences must be used. Active sentences, passive sentences, and so on. So if you're using awkward or overly simple sentences or sentence structure, presents many errors, many, here many. Remember, here very few, 1 or 2. Here some, 3, 4, 5. Here many. Errors, you deserve just 2 or half the mark. If you or if your essay or short story includes incomplete thoughts, you confuse the reader. The reader doesn't understand what your point is. If you create confusion through errors in spelling, usage, and punctuation, again, this will lead to making the reader, your reader or your listener, if you are speaking, confused. Here we have a model short story written by a student who's your age in a school called Santa Monica, I think in California. Okay, the title is Too Much Information. You know, the word information is uncountable. This is why we use the word much. Too much information. And too much means more than enough. The writer is Ben Spoor, Santa Monica High School, Santa Monica, California. I want you to participate, and if you want to read, we read it. It's about 2 pages. This is the second model we read in this chapter. So you have 2 models because in the writing task this week, inshallah, you're going to be asked to write a short story like this. If you're ready to read, put your hands up, please. I want someone to read this first part up to here. Put your hand up. So as I notice here, Ali Gizi is not here anymore. He entered and left. Tadrus, I'll remove their names. I remove their names because they're not with us anymore. So I have 10 attendants, 10 attendees only. Who wants to read? Hala Sharif, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you read this part? Screen?
Where can I start?
From here. From the beginning. I wished
I wished I could be normal again.
I really did. I began as I stare at the full glass of root beer in front of me. But I thought that was impossible since I discovered my power. In the shadows of my dimly lit booth, my listener nods his head silently. Not it wasn't a power, actually, it was more of a jinx. I say as I go off in a. What is this word?
Sorry, I was writing Ali's name because he joined us again. Where did you stop?
Reverie.
Uh,
The second line in the second paragraph.
okay, reverie, yes.
What does it mean?
Okay, happiness.
Being able to hear what people are really thinking is one of those things you think would be great until you can do it. Then you understand that some knowledge has a sting. Ever since I was a little kid, I wondered what people really felt inside compared to how they seemed on the outside. I recall from my childhood those nice moms who would volunteer at school. They acted so sweet and full of praise in the classroom, but once they hit the street, they'd complain about how hard it was to volunteer. Until I reached my middle school,
Okay,
I believe.
thank you. That's enough for you.
Okay.
Hala asked about the word reverie. It's like, I think it's related to the word dream in French. Reverie, when you are pensive or thinking deeply, like as if you are daydreaming, okay? As I go up in a reverie, like as if I were dreaming. I need another person, guys. Put your hands up, please, if you want to participate. Hello? Those who
Yes, miss.
have mics, please, guys, solve your mic problem. Because once you're with me, Abdurrahman Walid, you don't answer me. You don't answer me in the chat. You don't answer me. You don't have a mic at all. You're not here at all, Abdurrahman. I can see your name only. Please tell Ali also to take part in the sessions because there are 10 marks for participation. Please, if you can hear me, answer me in the chat and try to solve the problem of your mics. Same, Yahya Awad and Yasmin Said. Solve the problems with your mics, please. You all have mobiles, you all have mics. Solve this problem. I think somebody was Hassan Ruhaim, I think. Hassan?
Yes, miss.
Okay, you can complete.
From until I reached, right?
Until I reached, yes.
Until I reached middle school, I believed acting one way and thinking another way was just another thing. There, people spoke nicely to each other, but really didn't seem nice at all. It struck me as surreal while others accepted it as normal. I would sit in the cafeteria daydreaming and observing others. The girls would tell each other, I love you, and we'll be best friends forever. But forever was a short time. It ended when they saw one of the girls wearing something unfashionable. The guys were just as bad. They pretended that nothing ever bothered them, saying forget it, it was nothing, but they kept score and never let you forget when you blew it. Of course, I seemed to be one of those who were blowing it a lot.
Go on.
There were rules for things I had never dreamed had rules. No one had bothered to tell me. The summer before high school started, I had one simple wish to know what the popular people really thought, because then I might understand them better. That first Wednesday in the science room, something happened to grant my wish. I mixed the chemicals wrong and the experiment exploded in my face. All I know for sure is that I woke up in the hospital with bandages covering my head and the loud ringing in my ears. When the doctors removed the bandages, the change began.
Okay, thank you, Hassan. That's enough for you here.
Yes.
Another person, guys. Another person. I have Tadros. Okay, Tadros, go ahead. Welcome back.
So from where?
I asked the doctor.
Ask the doctor. Well, doc, how do I look? Reading the chart at the end of my bed, he replied, fine, son, but in a low whisper, barely audible, I heard, look at that poor kid's ear. When I asked him what was wrong with my ears, he reeled back as if I had slapped him. Nothing, they are fine, he insisted. When I looked into the mirror, I saw that they were not fine now. They stuck out from my head like two satellite dishes, and I was receiving more signals than ever. Why me? I moaned as I fell back into bed. At first, I didn't realize how much this changed my looks, but then I heard, get a load of those ears. And hey, Dumbo, what a peanut. As I walked down the halls at school, I ducked my head and kept going. Who was saying that? My listener asked. Good question, I replied, and one I needed to know how to answer.
Thank you, Tadros. That's not for you. I need another volunteer, guys. I need another volunteer. Who's ready? We still have a page. Thank you, Tadros. Thank you, Hassan. Thank you, Hala Sharif. These are the people who participated with me so far. Tadros, Hassan, Ruhaim, and Hala Sharif. I have Yusuf Awad. Okay, Yusuf. Go ahead.
I was stunned by the fact that besides these horrific jabs, the hall was calm. It was then that I realized no one's lips were moving. By lunch, I wanted it to stop. Knowing that everyone was really thinking was giving me a pounding headache. I heard one girl say to another, "Oh, that's a beautiful dress," and then in a whispery, low voice, "Doesn't she ever look in the mirror?" Then I heard another voice, "She looks adorable, I wonder where she got it." I heard everything, the pain of people pinning away, the anticipation of others waiting for football practice, happiness, fear, jealousy, boredom, the whispering died into my head like the world's loudest hammer. It wasn't just the sound, but the agony, all the unmet desires that made me want to flee. Finally, I had my lunch on the lawn, alone, more isolated than ever before. You mean you could hear people's thoughts? My listener asked, totally perplexed by the story I was telling. Yes, and I was beginning to feel desperate that night sitting at home. I searched my mind to find one true friend, someone I could trust.
Thank you. That's enough for you. Thank you very much. We still have a couple of paragraphs. I need somebody else to read beginning from that night. Who's ready? Ganaguda, are you there? Can you hear me? Yanna, do you want to participate? Do you want to read? Ganaguda?
Yes, Mister.
Okay. I want you to read from here. Can you see the cursor? That night.
I can find it.
That night here. Here, the cursor is here. That night, sitting at home. Can you see it?
Yes. Yes. That night, sitting at home, I searched my mind to find a true friend, someone I could trust. Lisa, I thought she was the girl I had known before the accident. She had never. 1 second. She had even come to the hospital to visit me. Jumping up, I called her and asked her out. I heard 2 responses. Oh, I would love to, but I'm going to the town. 2 responses to the weekend, sorry. And then, in the faint whisper, I can't believe this. I've been waiting forever for him to ask me. At least it was nice to hear the secret admiration. Still, it was not worth living the miss just for a few silent secrets. For about an hour, I just sat in my room wishing I could go back to the superficial but normal world pleasantries and appearances. And there, the only insecurities I could hear in my head were my own. My listener leaned forward. Well, what did you do? Well, call me Mr. Lucky, I said, laughing at the strangers of it all. A week after my accident, I was at football practice. I did not have my helmet on, and Barry, the center, decided it was time to take some tackling practice.
All I remember was the ground coming at me fast. I woke up in the hospital again. However, this time I could only hear the doctor remarking on how I could not really notice the stitches, not how horrible my ears looked. I could no longer read minds. The power was gone, and the relief it was not to be back, my older self. I will never wish to get into other people's mind again. The memory of this experience and working out of my mind, making life interesting enough as it is.
So as you can see, this at the end. Thank you. I'd like to remind you again. Thank you, Ganna. Just write your name down. Ganna Guda. Okay. A short story, again, let's remember, is a situation on which you elaborate. You, the writer, describe a situation in your own life, a situation in a friend's life, you make it up or anything you read about and you want to express. It's just one situation you need to focus on. I'll make a new share here. I have, I think, a Word file here. Where is it? Yeah, this file. It summarizes the whole issue. I'll put this file in SMS for you in a file or a folder called writing. So you need to refer to it. Let's remember again, summarize what we said in this chapter over 3 sessions. Short story writing tips. Are you thinking to write a short story or started writing? We all love reading short stories, but it's not easy to write such stories. But for most writers, writing short stories is a very simple task. As you see, a situation and the writer describes it. But you need to have clear language. You should have clear characters or characterization. The chronological order, as Mariam al-Naqib said, or the plot of the short story should be clear and logical to follow. You shouldn't confuse your reader, okay? You should plan it well before you start. Writing short stories is a very simple task, but don't be afraid. Writing short stories is not a big deal. You just have to keep some points in your mind and you can be a good story writer. Reading and writing short stories is a fun, or it can be one of the most enjoyable experiences of your life. Writing a short story doesn't take so much time. We read just 2.5 pages. Writing a short story doesn't take so much time, and it helps you and sharpen your writing skills. So if you want to write your story like a real writer, here are some short stories, writing tips that will help you in writing a great story, and you will learn mistakes done by some new story writers. Planning, we talked about it. Have a look at it soon because the session is about to end. We talked about the planning stage. Brainstorming your ideas, characters, setting. Don't forget to state your setting, the time and the place of your situation. The word limit, sometimes you are asked to write no more than 250 words or no less than 300 words, and you're given 30 minutes. 30 minutes. You'll do this, guys, this week. You write a short story yourselves on a given topic on the quiz day, on the writing quiz day. Creative and explorative. While reading story, anybody can judge your story in the beginning only. If reader finds story boring and starting, he will not read it or complete it. Nobody reads boring stories. To keep reader stick, your story should be creative. You can make your story more and more creative only from your imagination, and you can explore lots of new ideas from your story. Characters in a story. For writing short stories, only try to give 3 or 4 supporting characters. Don't write about too many characters. It's a short story. It's one situation. You don't need to have 20 or 30 characters like a novel. Lots of characters would make your story complicated, which can confuse the reader. The writing stage itself, when your plan is ready, you know who your characters are, you know the setting, you know the plot, you know the order of the event. Revise it and make sure you have answers of all the questions. Now start writing the story. While writing the story, don't think you are doing writing or grammatical mistakes. Don't think about this. Make any mistakes, no problem. Why? Because you are going to proofread again. You're going to read it once more for mistakes. Just swim in your imagination and put your imagination on paper. Use dialogues, because this is a situation in which there are characters. Dialogues in story make reader curious to know what will be the reaction of that dialogue. So using dialogues will make your story more creative. Emotions, use of emotional dialogues and scenes creates interest in reading story by heart. It generates curiosity in the mind of the reader. Sometimes you need, once you start a book, you don't put it down until you finish it. You come to the back cover, right? Why? Because it grabs your attention. It's interesting. Revision, when you feel you have completed your story, revise it, proofread it, check out your grammatical mistakes, as we said, spelling mistakes and scenes, any scenes, dialogue, situation, etc. in story, and make sure that, sorry, I maximized it a little bit. Sure that everything is compatible and linked to each other. If you feel some change in scenes, dialogues, do it. We hope you like these tips. And for a beginner, you are a beginner short story writer now, tips given above are enough to help you in writing short stories. So don't wait and start writing stories when the teacher asks you to do. Okay, so in chapter 5 in your books, there are 2 model short stories. Have a look at them again before you do the task this week, inshallah. Okay, I've come to the end of the session. Now I have Kiara, Janna Gouda, Hala Sharif, Zulwa, Tadrus, and Abdurrahman Wali. I have 6 guys out of 29. I write these names down because these are the people who attended till the end of the session. So we have Kiara, Janna, Gouda, Hala Sharif, Zulwa, Haya, Tadrus, Abdurrahman Walid. Okay, thank you very much. I'll end the session. See you tomorrow, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.